So, I don't know. I just think that it's funny, and like I've always, you know how you have those things where you're like, is this just a me thing, or does everybody do this? And the one that came to mind recently was with like leaving your clothes in the dryer. Everyone I've lived with does it. So almost everyone I've lived with does it. So it's one of those things where it just seems to be a thing where once the dryer's done, if it's assumed that no one's going to use it next, it just sits there for a while. There's a few people I know that do it where they like take it out right away, 100% accuracy. But that's a very small percentile of people I know take it out right away. Usually it sits in the dryer for quite a while before, whether it be hours or days or weeks, depending. I don't know. It's like, I guess it's just at that point, it's bad enough that you want to do dry, you have to wash and dry your clothes, but like you just can't be fucked to take it out. It's just more natural than I thought. I always thought I was the only one who does it, but then like I always get caught like where I'm like, oh, someone else's clothes are in here. So yeah, I mean, that is a nature thing. But then there's other things that people do, like pull their pants all the way down when they use the urinal, where like only monsters do that. You know what I mean? Like no people do that. So yeah, to me there's norms that you're just not aware of, and then there's just weird behavior. Right. So what have you what are you guys been up to, Mr. John? What'd you do? What'd you do this week?
Busy at work actually, so that was pretty cool.
Good. It's always a good and bad thing for that right now when it comes to business.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
The fact that you forgot that it's a bad thing, it's not just a flaw on your part, it's just a flaw in general. I think that, like, I'm not going to start off 20 minutes talking about why people are dumb again like I did last time, but that I think is the biggest problem, is everyone does kind of act like that this isn't a thing, or like as if they've forgotten already. Which is actually related to one of the stories we're going to cover, so there's that. But okay, so yeah, business was booming. What's up? What else was going on with you?
That's it really. No, it was kind of a boring week.
Don't worry, I don't have much either. I just worked like 8 days in a row, so I'm pretty much got nothing for you.
Yeah.
What about you, Josh? Can you save it with the most interesting stories and tales of the week?
Yeah, I don't know. I went back to work because I took a week off, and then I went back Monday.
Did you hate it?
Yeah.
Understandable.
Yeah. More Animal Crossing, more Final Fantasy VII. Yep, haven't finished 7 yet, but yeah, that's.
Were you the one? There is or isn't a credits roll for Animal Crossing?
Yeah, there is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah,
it's just a game like that. I just thought wouldn't have one.
No, it does. I don't know if it would be spoiler to mention.
Yeah, it would be. All
right, but yeah, no, there is one. Yeah. Made sure to.
Did you already see that credit roll?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I already have.
Okay.
But I did make sure to wake up early and get them turnips.
Nice.
Yeah.
How much did you buy them for, though?
I think like 94.
No, that's not bad. You can
91, 94.
That 90s is always easy to break even, at least at the worst.
Mm-hmm.
Any more than that, there's that.
Yeah.
Great.
Yep.
Oh yeah, Mallory's not here. She is taking a personal time because the world is never shitty enough. So there's always one of those weeks where it decides to just pile up. So Mallory is taking a sabbatical, but that's fine. She'll be back next week though. Everything will be back in order. So there's that. No, right. So if you use any Nintendo Network stuff, where if you're anyone with taste, you're pretty much just using your Switch right now. But if you're a plebeian who uses your Wii U or your 3DS for some fucking reason, make sure to change that password, because 160,000 accounts were hacked. So, It didn't even happen recently. It's just Nintendo just confirmed it now, that earlier in the month that 160,000 accounts were hacked. Do you think that'd be maybe pertinent information to relay to the public right away? But Nintendo decided that maybe 3 weeks later is a good time to go ahead and tell you that your account could be fucked. I think by now you probably would have realized it. Either your account would have the password changed and you'd be locked out, or you would have a bunch of mysterious purchases on your account for whatever reason. But yeah, I think 3 weeks is more than enough time that people would have known, but I guess that's just Nintendo being Nintendo.
Yeah, sadly, one of my accounts was one of those.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh!
Yeah, so...
Damn.
Didn't expect to have a personal connection of any of that, yeah.
Yeah, I got emails stating, like, hey, new sign-on, we don't recognize this device.
And was it like in like Zimbabwe or some shit? Was it like some fucked area that you're
I know a couple of times it did blatantly say Russia. A few times it said United States.
Mine's always Russia or China.
I think I got Brazil one time.
Oh. Much to political... lulls as you can get out of that. Mine are mostly from China and Russia. So, yeah, their involvement is confirmed in political campaigns.
Yeah, the super frustrating thing was even though I changed my password multiple times, it kept happening. Eventually, I just had to enable the two-factor authentication.
Two-factor, and that's the moral of this entire story. Is changing your password is one thing, but obviously passwords do just get out there.
Yeah.
But your two-factor, the chance of that getting fucked also, you're just really fucked at that point. If someone, it's either someone you know or like some way, like, because that's literally one of the most infallible ways to keep your account safe on anything. I have two-factor turned on 12 different accounts that I use. So be a safe boy and do that. I have thought about getting the actual like physical key fob that you can get for two-factor authentication, because that shit's really cool to actually have that. But a lot of those devices are a lot of money, and that shit's obviously unnecessary when you can just bust out a phone and go yes or no, or copy the code or whatever. So there's that. We were talking about Nintendo and Animal Crossing. Elijah Wood apparently visited a person. Now, here's the thing. Wouldn't it be assumed, unless the person shared their friend code on like Twitter and Elijah Wood saw it, wouldn't it be assumed it would be someone else that he just knows that's on his friend list? Is it really visiting another person? I mean, the story itself implied that it was a stranger, but would it really be? Let's see. What the fuck? That person's price that week for turnips was 599 bells a turnip. Wow. Well, no wonder Elijah Wood went there. Not such a good person to begin with. I'm just joking.
Probably through Turnip Exchange.
Yeah, so it was through the code. Yeah, so her code went out. She was allowing people onto her island to sell their turnips, and Elijah Wood was one of those people. In the guise of a nice person. But anyways, yeah, the story just goes on to talk about, he was so polite and all this bullshit. I mean, wouldn't he be? Isn't Elijah Wood a nice person? I don't know. I just remember that time he looked really high in that one weird debate campaign video he did, the fighting Dominic Monaghan in a debate. Yeah. That's what that was for. For those who don't know, that weird thing where he was using a bunch of gym equipment incorrectly and yelling Dominic Monaghan was for a debate tournament thing. It wasn't a real fight thing. There are people that are going out there and saying, like, oh, they fought or some dumb shit like that. The power of not doing your homework. But it was for some debate thing in Austin. It was part of, like, South by Southwest or some shit like that. So there was just some stupid memes that they did for that.
Memes.
So, yeah, Elijah Wood visiting random people on Animal Crossing. We talked about pandemic stupidity. Well, here it goes. GameStop has announced that they will be reopening stores that they had just recently agreed to close because they are an essential business. And the CEO is being such a good man and taking a 50% salary cut. Now, it's not because the company couldn't afford to float his salary, could it be? No, it must be because he's a good person and he wants to help the company stay alive. No, it's not. It's not. They just don't have enough money to pay him his whole salary, so he's taking a 50% pay cut, and they do plan on reopening stores in several states, which they will announce the entire list soon. Check this out, though. One of the countries that they are going to be opening stores up in again is Italy, which still has one of the highest, if not the highest.
No, we have the highest.
Oh, we have the highest now?
We have the highest. We're number one. We're America.
Yeah, we're winning this race.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, our landmass is also a lot bigger, but there is that, yeah. Anyway, so Italy, another country that has been ravaged by the plague quite a bit, marketing one of the highest fatality rates. they are going to still be reopening stores there as well as here, so it doesn't really matter. Point still stands that they are opening in very high-risk areas. So, yeah, that's good stuff. They are going to keep one-third of the stores in the U.S. closed still, but again, we're talking about landmass area. Like, one-third here is like several European countries together, if not all of Europe and half of Asia sometimes, depending on what part of the mass you're using. But, yeah, I don't know. I just think it's crazy that they are still trying to justify all this just because other businesses are opening during this time. Different states having varying laws of what can and can't open. Like in Texas, I know that even though stores are allowed to open, even the non-essential stores, they are still very strict guidelines.
Yeah, I think like you can't have people able to do curbside or something.
Yeah,
like that.
You can't have people in the store at all, which Anime Tokyo is already breaking that because they've been having people in their stores even before the full announcement of that. So I know you said half willingly the caveat, which is that they serve food, but if I pull Skittles out of my pocket and sell it to people, does it make me a food establishment now?
Yeah.
Not really. So because of that, there are already several businesses that have been kind of violating that to begin with.
Yeah, it's kind of stupid because it's not a grocery store.
It's not.
You know, you go in there, it has a little arcade, fucking...
It has Pocky,
figures.
So therefore they're essential.
Yeah, it's like a small assortment of snacks and instant ramen.
Right.
Like, they're not...
And not even, like, the really good ramens that we get. Like, just, like, probably some fucking Maruchan or probably cup noodle or some shit like that. So.
I haven't, like, checked, but...
Yeah.
I just know it's there, because I've been there, and there's people that will, like, gather around and watch some anime, and they have, like, a little microwave or, like, a hot food or a hot water dispenser, and that's how they'll cook it, so it's there. Apparently Otaku Cafe also serves ramen as well, but I don't know what their situation is.
I was going to say, I don't think
now.
they're open right now, though. If I recall correctly, I think they're closed still.
I think they actually are. They might be doing curbside, because I do know in the local Gunpla group, some people have recently picked up some models from Otaku Cafe.
Alright. Which, again, goes back to this being a problem, is the fact that people are going out to pick up fucking Gundam models. This is the thing. I hear a lot of this. Oh, I get that it's important. I'm taking coronavirus very seriously, and I catch these same fuckers having people over or like fucking going to other people's houses, and it's just like, do you really understand the magnitude? You call that crumpled ass Cheeto in office like a shitty person, but then you're going out to fucking Joe Schmo's house and having a fucking barbecue. To me, if you're doing that, you really aren't taking coronavirus, and you probably aren't much better than Trump when it comes to understanding the magnitude of the pandemic. Like, it's really easy to say, oh, I get this, I care, I'm serious about it. Like, I haven't been going anywhere other than where I have to go for either food or to work ever since this whole thing started. I haven't been to John's house, I haven't been to Mallory's house, you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things where I actually... Just like I take protests seriously, where I still haven't touched a fucking Blizzard game since I've sworn off Blizzard games. This is the reason when people tell me, oh, protests don't work, oh, you know, standing up for what you believe in doesn't work if the masses are against you. The only reason it doesn't is because we have a bunch of people like that who are just like, oh, yeah, no, coronavirus, so serious. Where are you going? Oh, you know, John having a cookout at his house. I'm going to go there, and, you know, we're going to hang out for a bit, probably have a few, you know, fucking shiners or whatever. It's just like, fuck you, dude. You're part of the problem. Like, I just hate that shit, because then I just see people, like, sharing all this shit on social media, being like, wow, people are really stupid about this, and I'm just like, you're stupid about that. I know you are.
Yeah.
I know you are.
It really is. Like, I think the other... place that sells Gunpla here, Hill Country Hobby, I think he is reopening, but last I saw he is strictly not allowing anybody in the store. So if you're doing that, like, fine, but the thing I hate is we just need to absolutely put a stop on rent and mortgage like during this whole thing, because it sucks when you're a small business owner. Because you can't fucking do business, you can't fucking pay your bills.
But dude, they passed the Small Business Act, and those people are gonna get money. they're going to be saved. They're going to get like $1,000. Another 1,000 on top of the other 1,000 they got already.
Yeah, I think I saw something about how the quote unquote actual small businesses actually got fucked.
Yeah,
because even though they say it's for small businesses, it actually went to like corporations and crap.
Yeah.
Like,
no, it went to shit like Red Robin and whoever.
Like Walmart's and crap. It's our government's fucked. Anyways.
Yeah,
we could go on and on about this.
Final Fantasy XII released a new patch this week for the Xbox One and Switch versions, which, well, actually PS4 and PC got a bit too, but anyways, it added a few different things. PS4 players can now reset the party members' jobs and stuff like that a lot easier by talking to a few NPCs instead of having to go through more convoluted methods. You're also able, in the versions of the game that didn't have the original OST toggle, you can now switch between the new orchestral version and the original OST for 12 as you prefer, either or. And the original versions that they did bring back in the versions that were missing the original toggle did allow, they did also up the quality and bitrate sample of those, so they are going to be better quality than the original PS2 version itself. They're going to be in higher bitrate and everything, so that's always good. Let's see. Oh, right. PS4 and PC are still missing New Game Plus, which exists on Xbox One and Switch versions. That's so it's one of those things where they're still... how old is Final Fantasy XII? And they're still trying to normalize the upports of it. It's a little funny to think about.
Yeah, it's kind of shitty.
But yeah, so there's that. But yeah, Final Fantasy XII is really good. And I think that all the excuses anyone can have to play it is always a good thing. The fact that you still can, because of the Zodiac Age version, the fact that you can get it on PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch is a good thing. Because that game definitely... I don't know for a fact, but I feel like if I'd wager a bet that it's one of the worst-selling Final Fantasy games, I want to say I'd be really close to being one of the worst-selling Final Fantasy games. Because... I don't know, I just feel like all the other ones... Like, I know 13 pulled gangbuster numbers despite the fact that that game sucks. So I know it sold like fucking crazy. That is actually one of the better selling ones.
Yeah, I don't think 12 ever got as much hype as a lot of the other ones did.
Nope.
Like...
Is that the one with lightning?
No, that's 13.
Oh.
12 is the
Which
one...
Which one's 12?
It has Vaughn.
Yeah, Vaughn.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, people... I still remember seeing the first photo of Vaughn. I was like, oh god, this is our protagonist?
Yeah, so here's what I will say is, despite the fact that Final Fantasy XII is a really good game, the story is pretty much just Star Wars. We were kind of joking about this prior to recording.
Yeah.
And Vaughn isn't the most interesting or best designed protagonist of the Final Fantasy protagonists.
No, he's really bad.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I saw...
Just vibes here.
Yeah. I think I saw, I think it was like a comment on YouTube where someone was saying that apparently Bosch was originally supposed to be the protagonist.
Oh.
But because he's not that, kind of pretty boy that kind of is known for Final Fantasy protagonists, that's why Vaughn was created. Which, yeah. Well, I mean, it kind of explains that, because the thing about Vaughn is he's just there. He's just there the entire time. The story doesn't revolve around him.
Right.
Now, you could argue it's the same thing with 10, because I remember getting into a conversation with somebody about... somebody was trying to say how Vaughn was just as good, if not better, than Titus in 10. And because even though Titus, the story doesn't revolve around him, he does play a key role. He's the one who helps Yuna...
No, I would say he was directly involved, pretty much, especially compared to Vaughn.
Yeah,
If we're comparing the two, it's not even a close parallel.
He offered... didn't he offer to become the final Aeon for her, even though they decided, fuck this plan, it's bullshit.
Which, by the way, Final Fantasy X is an old game, so don't cry to me about how that was a spoiler, but he does offer that.
Yeah. But with Vaughn, it's yeah, you're really just there the whole time. I never finished it, but of what I remember, everything that was going on, Ash and Bosch were kind of doing their thing. Balthier is just I happen to just know everything that's going on for reasons, and then Vaughn's just adventure.
Yeah, so despite the fact that I do praise 12 a lot, and I hold it in high regard as one of the better Final Fantasy games, I certainly do have a lot of criticisms of it, why I also feel like it didn't get... people don't view it the same way. Yeah. But it is a good game, though, and I do feel that people should definitely at least check it out. Because well, let me put it this way. If you are a fan of the traditional Final Fantasy combat and the way that works, that also is a little... Because 12 has, like, job systems, which existed either in the early games or kind of copy it from FF11.
They added that with Zodiac Age, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
So...
Yeah.
If you're going to play that version, watch out.
I remember the original one. I mean, the original one played fine. I thought the Gambit system was interesting.
What about the junction system?
Yes.
I spent too much time trying to figure out the junction system.
All that drawing.
People if that's your fucking hot take on FF8, get the fuck out of here. like if your whole thing is the fucking, oh my god.
I just don't like drawing magic, dude. I just don't like drawing magic.
My brain, despite the fact that I make it appear so huge, in galaxy form even, apparently can't comprehend this simple-ass concept. It's weird. Ever since I was in middle school, I heard people complaining about that shit, and I'm just like, what the fuck, dude? Like, I'm fucking, like, however old I was at the time, like, fucking 14 or some shit, and I'm like, what's so hard about it? It's a little bit of thinking.
Yeah.
Like, is it really that big of a deal? Speaking of things that are a big deal, Phil Spencer says that some Xbox Series X game reveals are coming sooner rather than later.
Whoa.
So don't worry about it. You're going to hear about them Xbox exclusives sometime soon. They already said that the console itself will be launching this holiday season, no matter what. No shitty COVID-19 stopping the Xbox. So that's still going to be coming. WWE did confirm that there will be no 2K game this year after the shit show that was the last entry. I talk about how that game has not been good. There has been no good WWE game since either WWE All-Stars, if you want to count that one, because that one was more arcadey, or if you're going to talk about these sim-type games, fucking SmackDown vs. Raw 2006, last good one. Like... that and that which came out in 2005 because they always do the year before thing. It's been a long fucking time since there was a good wrestling game, but 2K20 certainly was the most fucked up it's been in a really long time.
Yeah, that game was so broken
and incomplete.
But I wanted to see 2K21 with like no audience.
Yeah, shit like that would have been pretty funny. I know. I kind of feel that's also they didn't know how they were going to handle that.
Yeah.
So the bad reception of 2K20 plus... You know what? I don't want to call it bad reception. The fair reception of 2K20 and the fact that they don't know what to do with the audience in the game. It had to have been a lot of reasons where let's just skip this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, no WWE 2K21. We'll see next year with 2022 what's going to happen. Nintendo just recently launched an an app in Japan, which you can stream directs when they actually air them through the actual app itself. I don't see what the big deal is. I just open up YouTube and watch them. But some people, I guess... It's like the voice chat in the fucking app. I don't know how it is now, because I just remember using it back when that app first launched in, like, late 2018 or whatever, or early 2019. But that app sucks ass. Like, there's really not much point to it other than scanning your QR codes for designs of Animal Crossing. But other than that app's pretty worthless.
I like typing in chat on that thing a lot better than like in the game.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Yeah.
What about you, John? How much? Oh wait, you don't have a Switch. Never mind. I was gonna say, how much time do you spend in the Nintendo app? It better be 0 because there's no point in you using that app at all.
Yeah.
They fix the like the chat features and everything. Is that what you guys are talking about?
You can... Okay, this is when anyone tells me that you can use the in-game chat in Overwatch, you can use the in-game chat through the Nintendo app, I tell them, why the fuck would I do that? Like, Discord exists already. We don't live in a fucking pre-Discord world. Like, you don't have to fucking use anything. Just fucking use Discord to talk with your friends. It's really not that, why the fuck would you want to talk
No,
to
it's
somebody?
super convenient.
Yeah. Travis Scott, famed rapper extraordinaire, recently did a concert in-game in Fortnite. And you were able to check it out on PS4, Xbox One, Switch, or PC. So, huh?
Yeah, that looked pretty cool. I saw that on Twitter.
It was cool if you're 12 years old and like Travis Scott. But otherwise...
It looked very artistically and visually pleasing, but yeah, I honestly don't know who Travis... I assume a rapper, but I'm an old man on that.
This was like the second time, because the first one was that Marshmello or whatever.
Oh yeah, Marshmello did one, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I know I've seen some DJ... It's like Deadmau5, but...
Yeah, he has a marshmallow for a helmet instead.
Yeah, wears a marshmallow instead of a mouse head.
Yep. Literally the same concept.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I remember Deadmau5.
I think that the idea is cool, I guess.
Yeah.
But Fortnite, so like... Marshmello I can kind of understand because he has a lot of like universally... I mean, it's EDM, you can just listen to it. Mm-hmm. But Travis Scott... The average Fortnite player, I think, is like actually like 16 years old. Like this isn't like a joke, or I'm not going for like a fucking slight towards them on purpose. Yeah. But I believe the actual factual age of the average Fortnite player is like 15 or 16 years old, who shouldn't be listening to Travis Scott because parental advisory 18 plus. So it's one of those things where it's like odd artist choice. Like it's one of those things where like. This is not the first time we've seen this. We have seen, like, Lil Wayne on Nickelodeon awards and shit like that, so it's like, who the fuck makes these weird-ass decisions like that? But, I mean, John's not wrong. I was being kind of an asshole about it, but John isn't wrong. It did look interesting as far as anything in Fortnite can look interesting, but, like, yeah, it just used the in-game engine, and there were a few... I think the cooler part is when there's just a big Travis Scott, like, that was, like, walking around in the environment and shit and all that stuff, so... I mean, it's whatevs. That did happen. Nintendo, some sleuthing revealed that the Switch shortages were actually caused by bots that were buying them up en masse on eBay, Target.com, etc., etc. So it was actually a... How you say, you know how like the toilet paper shortage was brought up on by people's stupidity? The Switch shortage was bought on by people being greedy and realizing that people will probably want a Switch when Animal Crossing drops or because of COVID, and because of that people did just start hoarding them, and that's why you saw those flipping happening, and people have been reselling the Switch for like 2 or 3 times at face value, which sucks.
What a bunch of assholes. Yeah,
as much as I like the Switch, I definitely highly deter anybody from paying that much for it. Just wait. Nintendo, of course, it's a corporate statement, so you can only take it with a grain of salt. But they have said that they are trying to kick up production as much as they can, with parts being from China. Yeah. And there is more on the way, so even Nintendo themselves also discourage buying third-party $600 Switches. So, there's that. And somehow, finally, it was a slow news week. Instead, I just... This is the thing that happens with slow news weeks. You get filler like this, first of all, but I also do have a point to what I'm saying, is like, you'll always know it's a slow news week because Kotaku, Polygon, and all those other places, they usually have bullshit side story stuff. They'll be like, I went to Starbucks in Japan and it was crazy. Check out this article. It's like, you're a fucking game journalist. Who gives a fuck? Like, why the fuck are you writing about coffee in Japan? But they have an exorbitant amount of that whenever it is a slow news week, because it's just like, oh man, look what happens when you take 2 12-year-olds and fucking pit them against each other in Star Wars Pod Racer on N64. It's just a bunch of stupid stories like that, instead of like, you know, who's Randy Pitchford strangling this week, etc., etc. So it's been a slow news week because I saw a bunch of those dumbass stories. You know, we talked about Business Insider last time making a whole, Animal Crossing's a dumb game for babies, let's just admit it. So obviously, not much is going on. But if you do play Dead Cells, and if you don't, you should, they did drop a new update adding more monsters, different items, and weapons and stuff like that. As I've stated before, Dead Cells is one of my most favorite roguelites. For some reason, it gets a lot of comparison to Dark Souls, simply because anything that is of difficult nature is always drawn as a comparison to Dark Souls. But it is it's got a very cool neon aesthetic to it, and it's a side-scrolling roguelike, which is really cool because although every time you die, you do go literally back to the beginning, the more you play, you unlock more items and powers that do help you. Even though you're going through Dungeon 1 for the 1200th time, now you have 3 times speed and a weapon from the beginning that's way overpowered. So you will usually find yourself slamming through the first few dungeons and, whatever. I would say getting through the first, 3 or 4 levels is no problem, even if you have to do it 100 times in a row. It's always, the first few bosses that start to get kind of a pain in the ass. Unfortunately, having to do those over and over again become a pain. But again, you do find yourself with powers and abilities and weapons that make it a lot easier by the time you get there. So, not too bad. I guess before we wrap it, any games releases coming up that you guys are excited for that you know of that's dropping soon? Final Fantasy VII Remake was obviously one of the big ones that everyone was anticipating. That's out already. And the next big known one that people are anticipating is Cyberpunk, but as we know, that's already been pushed out to September, and given the current state of everything, who knows if it doesn't get pushed out past September now, because obviously when they made that announcement it was definitely pre-COVID. So
yeah, I can't really think of anything aside from Cyberpunk.
Yeah, what about you, Mr. John? Anything exciting been announced lately that you are looking forward to?
Oh, maybe Pod Racer.
That's it. Cyberpunk.
What
did you say, John?
Pod Racer, the port of it.
Yeah, that might be fun.
Cool.
I don't know when that's supposed to come out, but
they did announce it, but I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
Yeah.
That one's looking really good. God, there is a Switch one. Hold on, if I can try to find it real quick. There is a Switch game that was coming out soon that I thought looked interesting, but there's actually a decent Switch sale going on. PlayStation has been doing sales on and off. It's nice to see a lot of these companies. Obviously, it's still for your money, so don't have any delusions of these companies giving a shit about you. But it is nice to see them at least throwing somewhat of a bone and getting you good deals on games, because they have been dropping some pretty decent prices on some of the hot games that have been out lately. That Blair Witch game, which actually was apparently pretty good, that first-person Blair Witch game that came out late last year, is getting ported to Switch. I didn't know about that one. Eastward. Is that me? I don't think that's me. That's not me.
No.
Catherine Full Body comes out July 7th. That one's cool, but still kind of a ways away. I was hoping for something that was coming out a bit sooner. But Catherine's a great game. It's nice. It's going to be nice to see that one's actually going to be given some new wind on the Switchy. Because I think they had the original one on PS3, then there's a PC port, and then there was the enhanced version on PS4, Full Body Edition. But, it's nice to see that coming out there. Oh, Void Bastards, that was the one. Void Bastards is going to be coming out May 7th. Really excited for that. I talked about it last time. It was the very British roguelike shooter that's coming out. So, very curious to give that a spin on the old Switch. But other than that, this is probably the shortest episode in a long time, a 30-minute episode. So, that's just what it is. Not much going on in life right now, and because of that, not much going on in fucking the world of video games, apparently. So, we'll have Mallory back next week, and until then, you can catch us every Monday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And until the next episode, we will catch you guys then. Until then, see you.
Bye.